Hello, today we're going to be looking at how to convert your mountain bike wheel into tubeless. In order to do so, we're going to need a couple of things. Firstly, a tubeless ready tire. This is really important. Some tire sealant, some proper tubeless rim tape, tubeless valves, a pair of scissors, some tire levers, a small screwdriver, a valve core remover. Optional is the injector. We'll get into that a little bit later. And then also, this is really handy, an air shot. We'll also get into this a little bit later. First thing you're going to need to do is remove your old tire if you have one already on there. In order to do so, check out one of our other videos that teaches you how. But the first thing we're going to do here once the tire is removed is take off the rim tape that's already on there. You're going to take your small screwdriver, find the valve hole and put it in here. You're going to try and catch it like this, being careful not to scratch your rims. Lift it up and twist it and give a tug, and it should come off quite easily. Next, we're going to take a clean cloth and some soapy water. We're going to clean the inside of the rim here to take any contaminants or anything that would stop the new tape that we're going to be putting on from sticking down properly. Make sure it's completely dry, just dry it off a little bit. So now we're going to get ready to tape it. We're going to find the valve hole and we're going to start at the opposite side. Get an opening to the tape. Try and fit it as center as possible. And then pull tightly while holding the one end that you've taped on first. Do it in small increments to make sure it is taped down nicely and centered. Do your best not to get any air bubbles or creases in it and try and make it as flat as possible. I'm going to continue all the way around. When you get to the second round, if you have tubeless ready rims, a single layer will be fine, but just to be safe, we're going to go for 2 layers of tape. When you get to the end, you're going to go about 10 centimeters over the initial starting point, and then cut off. Once you've taped it down, you want to take another cloth and just run along the tape, making sure that any other gaps or air bubbles are fully removed. So you want to find the valve hole and make a small incision into the tape where it is. There we go. And then use the valve and poke through the rest. Next, you want to put the lock ring on to the valve, and we're only going to do this finger tight. So we're not going to use a tool whatsoever. Next, we're going to be putting the tire on. We're going to be putting both sides of the tire on, but leaving a small gap just to leave room for some liquid to be poured in. Now it's time to put the sealant in. This is one method. You're going to pour it into the gap we've left here. Another method would involve injecting it into the valve, which we'll show you in a bit. Be sure to give this a good shake before you put any into your tire. So you're going to need about 90 milliliters for this size tire. It's worth double checking on your specific size tire how much you'll need. So I'm just going to pour about that much in here. Now we're going to turn the wheel so that the fluid runs to a closed part of the tire. Okay, and now we're going to close off the rest of the tire. So now we're going to look at the other method of putting the fluid into the tire. That involves taking the core out of this valve. You can use one of these Stan's core valve removers, or you can just use one of these smaller ones like this. Both of them work quite well. So you fit that on top and you rotate until it's out. Next, we're going to attach this injector to the valve. It should just screw on. Then pull the back out, pour in an amount into here, and then reinstall the back. Just push it in until it's all into your tire. Now reinstall the valve core, doing it hand tight first, and then getting the little tool and finishing it off until it's quite tight. To get the bead of the tire seated nice and easily, we're going to wet with a bit of soapy water the sides of the tire. I'm going to try and get it in. This will not affect the sealant at all. Some tire and rim combinations can be easily pumped up just using a track pump, but others might need a bit of a compressor or some sort of other contraption like the air shot that we showed earlier to get the tire seated. Unfortunately, it didn't work just with the track pump, so we're going to use an air shot. There are a couple brands of this sort of canister. Basically, you fill this up with high pressure up to about 160 psi and then connect it to your tire and then release the thing, and it will pump it up really fast and hopefully seat your tire once off. All right, so we've pumped this up to about 140 psi, attach it to the wheel, and hopefully this will work. So give it a bit of a spin, flip it over a couple times to properly spread out the liquid inside. And you may have to bounce it up and down a couple of times as well, just to try and get it seated properly. So pump it up to about 40 psi, even with the air shot used. Let it just sit for a little bit, just so the sealant can coat everywhere and make sure that any potential holes are covered up. After that, pump to your desired pressure and go to ride.